Mercedes Benz sold one car in every 6 minutes this Navratri at an average price of 1 crore. 25,000 crore का रेवेन्यू है Mercedes Benz का.
क्या बात कर रहे हैं? $3 billion का रेवेन्यू है.
They sell 25,000 cars, their revenue is 25,000 crores. Dude, the math is so easy, dude.
We finally seem to be getting to that US consumer kind of behavior, right? Which is no savings, let me... But that's only to the top, whatever, 2, 3, 4% of.
60,000 crores of sale in first, like 10 days. First leg of festive growth in 2025. So 24 versus 25, there is a clear 5x jump. Our savings rate has gone down significantly. All of these charts are indicating that looks like a bumper festive season in the making.
ACs, fridges, ये सब भी मतलब काफी that would be driving a lot of this, no durables.
तो कहाँ मेरे को समझ में नहीं आ रहा किधर है slowdown consumption.
LG का IPO में very clearly they ask why are you like boss air conditioners is where the growth is going to be next 3 to 5 years. Clear है.
Why are people shying away from hiring a 15-year experience? Entrepreneurship by design asks you to exhibit beginner's mindset.
I also think critical thinking skills, na, especially in a brand context of young people, is way ahead just by pure instinct.
Hey everyone, welcome to episode 51 of the ASYMMETRIC podcast. I know different setting. I'm traveling, doing this from a hotel. I was requesting for the day off, but Shantanu was very clear that I have troubled him for so many years and said, how can you do this? And therefore he said, how can you do this? How can you not do the weekly? So forgive the background and the poor camera and the sound effects, but yeah, I tried to contribute as usual with some bucker. But night episode again, today we are discussing the overall festive season. The e-commerce growth that we have seen this year seems to have surprised most. A lot of interesting data and charts as usual from Chirag on what's happening during the festivities, what's leading to this growth. A little bit of banter also around what we are seeing in the market in terms of getting talent on board for different stages of the company. Some thoughts on macro as well, markets as well, but clearly we're out of depth on that one. So, hope you guys have fun as usual.
ये tweet देखो. Mercedes Benz sold one car in every 6 minutes this Navratri at an average price of 1 crore.
Dude, wow. Mercedes Benz has now become a 25,000 crore company yaar, in revenue.
In India?
1,000 crore in India.
What?
They sell 25,000 cars, their revenue is 25,000 crores. Dude, the math is so easy, dude.
25,000 crore का रेवेन्यू है Mercedes Benz का.
क्या बात कर रहे हैं? $3 billion का रेवेन्यू है.
Yeah.
तो कहाँ मेरे को समझ में नहीं आ रहा किधर है slowdown consumption में से. तो basically वही है ना, rich are basically just अंधाधुंध consumption.
Yeah, 25,000 crores means 25,000 cars are. 25,000 cars is not a lot.
यार
कल मुझे interestingly कोई इसी बात पे अपन डिस्कस कर रहे थे ना, but I think interestingly somebody is explaining me that whole India is used to watching these 5-10 companies, Britannia, Maruti, Unilever, and concluding basis this ki slowdown hai. Whereas the same consumer is buying the same category but a different brand now, which is the new age brand. Right? If D2C is looking like, let's say, what, anywhere between $15 to $20 billion total revenue? ऐसा कुछ नंबर होगा?
15 से 20 billion D2C India. On non-Flipkart, non-Meesho.
No, I'm saying all sales. The argument which was being made is, if you look at these new age brands, they are growing. And they are eating into the share of these old age companies. So there is consumption happening, just that we are not used to looking at this sector or this space. We are only used to looking at these 10 space, these 10 companies or these 20 companies.
मेरा hypothesis थोड़ा अलग है. मेरा hypothesis ये है कि I think the top 2 crore people in India में consumption is growing, but if you look at the next 15 crore people, the consumption is slowing down, which may be the same thing that what you're saying.
So HUL, ITC, Nestle, Tata Consumer, सब मिला के 188,000 crores. This is what, 20 billion ना? वही तो आ रहा है नंबर.
हाँ, but अमूल भी होगा ना इसमें 10 billion और.
चल ठीक है, 30 billion ले ले. Now if you remove the top 3, right? If you remove the top 3, he's saying everybody accounts for 45,000 crore in annual sales and growing 5% per annum. And there are 160 new age D2C brands, all founded less than 10 years ago, who generate 42,000 crores, growing 15% per annum. Basically, तुम long tail देख लो, you take the long tail, take all the new age brands as long tail, but combined they are now as big as, let's say, the legacy companies, but they are together now growing 15-20% and all online. Whereas these legacy companies which are offline heavy, they're also going online, but their offline is degrowing, their quick com and e-com is growing. But total, they're still growing at 5% net. Whereas an equivalent number now is growing 15%. So this portion will start. You're right, Chirag, to your data point. The index has to be, जैसे CPI में तुम पहले जो लेते थे अभी कुछ बास्केट चेंज करो ना बेसिकली. जैसे निफ्टी है, निफ्टी में तुम अभी भी IT सर्विसेज ले रहे हो और बैंकिंग ले रहे हो, तो निफ्टी लग रहा है कि यार बहुत एक्सपेंसिव है. So this is the argument, by the way, a lot of people in market also give. Ki you have taken all the khasi companies that are on market cap very big, but ideally, if you take a lot of the new age companies which are growing faster, like you should start rebasing the index a little bit to
And
signal what is a new age economy as well. अभी भी सारी old economy businesses को तुमने निफ्टी में डाल रखा है because they hold on to market cap, and then it's like a circular thing, right? Because they're part of Nifty, every large fund has to have those stocks. I don't think you will hold a TCS right now, which has given zero return in the last 3 years. Because growth ही नहीं है ना, 1% year on year growth है, तो लोग बोल रहे हैं भाई क्यों खरीद रहे हैं आप? But that reallocation will only happen when there are more eternals that become part of Nifty. Now I know you can't suddenly change the methodology, but that's why there is so much more interest in. By the way, I don't know if you had seen this. Sandeep pointed this out right from Deserve, that the inflows into thematic funds is at an all-time high now. Realizing कि यार
Good
लार्ज
point.
कैप
Good point.
में डाल के पॉइंट के रिटर्न ही नहीं आने वाला ना, क्योंकि सारे लार्ज कैप लेगेसी कंपनीज जो ग्रो ही नहीं कर रही है.
and it's a very important decision making criteria. Na? All policies typically are made basis this data point. कि यार कंजम्पशन नहीं हो रहा है, ओके इंटरेस्ट रेट कम करो, बैंक्स को डंडा दो कि यू शुड बी गिविंग मोर क्रेडिट, ऑल ऑफ दैट हैपेंस. But what if that number is skewed by like 20%? Then you are looking at a different answer, na? So a lot changes.
Yeah. हाँ मतलब वो, so there is a lot of this conversation, right? That core inflation has slowed down to all-time low. But again, they still measure that basket क्योंकि प्रोटीन के भाव तो कम नहीं हो रहे हैं. But core inflation में कोई प्रोटीन नहीं देख रहा है, दाल चावल सब्जी देख रहा है. Which is, yes, it is at an all-time low, but I don't think consumption is picking up because I would agree with Shantanu. I don't think the wealth or income increase beyond the top 5% of India is meaningful. So
That's true.
वहाँ consumption बढ़ना मुश्किल ही लग रहा है. I think the top percent are making more money in income as well as wealth. Whether it's stock market, whether it's real estate, whether it's gold, silver, commodities, whatever it is. Because now you're also, India used to be very under-penetrated on insurance, credit, as well as stock market access. The stock market access has increased tremendously in the last 5 years. So I think wo jo top 5, but I think it's now 6-7% of India now has access to equity markets, right? Insurance and credit is still lagging behind. But I think that way the income/wealth is seeing, and it's all coming into new age businesses, whether it's the Mercedes or the brands or I don't know, even a BNPL provider versus people going to legacy banks. Like again, we used to be questioning, right? Why do people in credit take personal loans at a higher rate than what SBI is offering? यार convenience है, मजा आ रहा है, like monthly loan मिल रहा है मेरे को 8-10 लाख, no question asked. Why would I do all that time job? So I think we finally seem to be getting to that US consumer kind of behavior, right? Which is I
Yeah,
only
no
live once,
savings.
no savings,
Yeah.
let me, but that's only to the top, whatever, 2-3-4% of the audience. But we काफी बड़ा है ना. Top 5% of India would be still what? 70 million households? No, 70 million people. 70 million, right?
Top 5%, yeah. 70 million people.
बहुत है यार. 70 million में तुम्हारा जीडीपी कैपिटा अगर 10,000 पहुंच जाता है तो.
And what was the comparison? That's as good as Singapore.
नहीं, Singapore population would be very low. Singapore population would not be that. 70, I think a good benchmark would be, I think that's what I think Sajid used to cover, right? The India one, the Mexico population and stuff like that.
Mexico, correct.
30 million households, 70 million people getting at 10,000. Maybe it's higher now. Maybe it was $10,000. This would be actually where the delta is. Maybe that's become like $14,000-15,000 GDP per capita. That top 70 million.
ये इंटरेस्टिंग है. उससे मुझे एक और आई रिमेंबर वन मोर थिंग. आई वाज मीटिंग वन फाउंडर. शांतनु ने मुझे इंट्रोड्यूस करा था मॉक्सी ब्यूटी. आई थिंक शी वाज मेकिंग एन इंटरेस्टिंग पॉइंट दैट वी एंड अप comparing ourselves to or for inspiration in beauty and hair US से ज़्यादा compare करते हैं, whereas we should be looking at countries which are closer to equator. And then she was saying that we should look at trends in Mexico rather than in US or in Korea.
Korea, yeah, that's true.
Because
Especially with hair.
Which was an interesting point. Relates to our GDP per capita also. कि इंडिया टॉप वालों के लिए मेक्सिको देखो. मेक्सिको जाना चाहिए.
वही बोलते हैं लोग. I don't know whether that stat is still true. There was not a single developed economy between the tropics till 10 years back. अभी पता नहीं, maybe with UAE and Singapore, I think that may have changed, but or maybe above certain population, all developed economies are on the other side of the tropics. Very interesting. Heat actually just kills productivity. But on this now, 70 million people and 10 million में बहुत फर्क है. Again, the average versus median argument is big. I think if you look at the top 1 crore people, I still feel कि वहीं पे consumption that covers consumption growth and pulls it forward. But आप ये देखो ना, RB for example, this will not include like companies like Ruchi Soya and all, where there is oils and some of that stuff, where there will be slowdown.
क्या लग रहा है बल्ले बल्ले दिवाली में एकदम?
No, at least these all of these charts are indicating that looks like a bumper festive season in the making.
Last year you
GST
saw
की वजह
10%
से
growth.
ACs, fridges, ये सब भी मतलब काफी, that would be driving a lot of this, no, durables.
No, this
Yeah,
is
but it's like
D2C
to
only.
like, right? No, this is
Brand.com,
all
na?
this is all e-commerce. This is all e-commerce.
Yeah.
You're
This is
saying
Red Shirt
last year
the
festive
growth,
was only 10% growth. Festive
and I
season.
don't remember why was last year slow. But at least this year they're saying double of last year. And some of the data which is there, which does indicate, so this is festive e-commerce festive growth by GME first 2 days. So 24 versus 25, there is a clear 5x jump. That is there. And then this is online. So there's 60,000 crores of sale in first like 10 days is what they're saying, first leg of festive growth in 2025.
Wow.
It's huge, yeah.
That's true.
And a big base actually. Is base पे 20%
And this
growth.
is, what we were discussing, mostly macro. Repo rates have gone down, tax-free, tax limits have increased. GST, I'm saying mostly some macro stuff which has played into this consumer demand uplift. Interest rates are down. Repo, at least Indian RBI is also indicating na, that interest rates will go down from here. Tax-free, the limits have increased. GST 2.0. This is what I was saying, that our savings rate has gone down significantly.
Yeah.
We are at our lowest ever, na? 18.5%.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And then this
Very
was
cool.
the automobile one which we were discussing. That there is a 30 Navratri to Navratri, there is a like 1/3 increase in year over year. Navratri 25 is 1.1 million vehicles sold.
Wow.
And that's up
36% growth, huh?
Yeah. Hello, Hyundai has reported 11,000 dealer billing. Maruti Suzuki delivered 30,000 vehicles. Interesting.
So this will still be top 5% of India, right? Yeah. Nahin. If there are 100 million, this is 1 million, right? So there are 10 million two-wheelers roughly sold in the year. Is that a fair estimate? Yeah, is it a little higher? Two-wheeler sales in India would be 10 million to 20 million.
In that range only.
So let's say, again, so it's still the top 50 million households only, right? Largely, or is it more democratic than the top 5% of the country?
My sense is, what Shantanu was also saying, my sense here is that जिसके पास एक गाड़ी थी ना, उसके पास 2 हो रही है. Instead of a net new buyer buying a car.
Yeah, they're not entering into category as much as we would like.
Yeah.
So this pantry loading.
20 million. Hai. So
20 million.
First half of this year is 10 million. So roughly 20 million two-wheelers are sold every year. Assuming people buy once every 5 years or buy a second one, you're rightly saying, but basically top 100 million household is. So little more democratic, top 10% of India. But again, four-wheeler to pakka will be top 5%, which is where we are seeing the wealth concentration is. Which is why even a mass segment is growing 100% year on year, and a Mercedes luxury segment is growing 35% year on year.
Yeah.
Mercedes is going
What
35%
percentage
year.
of what percentage of Maruti car is to a first time car buyer? I think it'll be high, no? Or no?
Yeah. Mass segment, yes. The Nexta versions, which is the Baleno Plus, would
Is
be
upgrade.
second. Yeah, would be upgrade.
Second, third car, yeah.
And now no more, at least I was reading somewhere, no more the Altos and the Swifts are the highest selling cars now.
Yeah.
What's the highest selling car now? Creta.
Creta, yeah. Creta is the followed by Desire.
That's an upgrade, na?
Yes, and by the way, out of the top 5, only one is sedan. Everything is a SUV or a MUV. Top 6, in fact, only one sedan. All are SUV, MUV. MUV is like the Ertiga and the Innova level. So yeah. Largely
By the
you're
way,
right.
September 25, highest selling car was Tata Nexon, no? For September 2025.
But last year, this was later. Last year, Navratri or Diwali late. So I hope we are not comparing the wrong months.
And we're comparing Navratri to Navratri.
नवरात्रि तो नवरात्रि होगी ना. मोबाइल इलेक्ट्रॉनिक्स में इतना स्पाइक नहीं आया. ब्यूटी पर्सनल केयर क्यों इतना स्पाइक होगा? क्योंकि शैम्पू 5% हो गया.
I think
तो
grocery is
छोटा है.
definitely up because of quick commerce.
ये तो क्विक कॉम है.
Huh. But fashion, beauty, of course, I think some amount of the GST 2.0 impact. 10 to 15% jump in electronics, na?
Okay, got it. But
TV and
BAU
appliances
25 was
saw, Samsung saw premium TV sales jump 2x compared to Festive in 2024.
got it.
Refrigerator, washing machines and AC are 30% growth.
LG का
Interesting.
IPO में the CEO and the CFO का, I don't know whether you saw that interview. Very clearly they ask, why are you leaving? Like, boss, air conditioners is where the growth is going to be in next 3 to 5 years. Clear है, मतलब household penetration first AC में बहुत झगड़ा होने वाला है between Voltas,
Yeah.
LG, all of these guys.
Yeah.
Because
I'm hearing
people are
AC is
just
the biggest. Even Urban Company and Atomberg are now going after AC compressor /
ACs.
AC. So clearly
Manufacturing
seems like
or servicing?
apparently, I think Atom announced in a PR saying we have now most silent compressor, most energy efficient something. They have this BL. I think they're a technology first firm, right? They keep figuring out more energy efficient and
So
less
they will get
noise
into
ways of.
manufacturing, Urban will get into servicing.
I'm hearing Urban to servicing में था ही. I think they may
So
also
native
come
के
out
through.
native में product ले आएंगे वो लोग AC का.
Oh, wow.
Very likely. ये सही है उनका कि हमको सर्विसिंग करना आता है तो हम प्रोडक्ट भी बना लेंगे तो फिर पूरा एंड टू एंड साइकिल ही हमारा है
और AMC
एंड
free
एसी लाइक हाँ और वो क्लियर था उसका यार वो दैट गाय लाइक बस एसी बिकॉज़ क्या आई थिंक माय हाइपोथेसिस नाउ households which have let's say 5 7 8 lakh per year of income the person is still working in an AC office country is getting hotter दिन भर AC ऑफिस में रहता है तो उसको शाम को लगता है कि यार एक 1 BHK में है और 2 BHK में एटलीस्ट वन ऑफ द रूम शुड हैव एसी वो एक रूम में एसी ऑन करता है पूरा घर ठंडा कर लेता है एंड देन आई थिंक एटलीस्ट दैट काइंड ऑफ क्रिएट्स
मैं बोल रहा हूँ उतना you don't even need to go
penetration.
that low. If you see the urban company transacting user base, it's 7 million. It's the top 0.5% of the country.
Yeah.
So you don't. It's a 20 lakh household a year. यार ठीक है वो ले लो ना. Basically they are going deeper by giving maids than by giving AC. Basically वो उसी घर में cross sell कर रहे हैं वो.
Look at the credit driven consumption. So credit transactions have risen faster this festive season.
Fuck.
27% growth in credit card and e-commerce transactions in terms of volume.
इसमें से आधा तो अंकुल ग्रोवर की वजह से होगा क्योंकि वो सबको बता रहे कौन सा क्रेडिट कार्ड यूज करना चाहिए That is, I think, where a large part of this can be attributed to. उसकी वजह से मेरा ये देखो उसकी वजह से मैंने ले लिया ये HSBC और इन्फिनी अब मेरे को और टेंशन आ गया कि इनका डेट कब आता है पेमेंट का Who will track all this? एक मेरा वो Amex सही था but very interesting है very
But I'm
interesting.
not able to understand the chart, Chirag. तो बोल
So
रहे
the
कि
yellow one is 2025. This is volumes percentage change.
so UPI का growth कम हुआ है year on year.
Correct.
Festive
Correct.
season में. It used to be 50% growth, now it's down to 20% growth. Whereas
Correct.
it has got replaced by credit card. So people are spending
Credit.
more on credit card, less on UPI.
Not less growth. This is growth.
ये चार्ट वाले को
Correct.
लेकिन अवार्ड देना चाहिए ईयर प्रोग्रेशन राइट टू लेफ्ट किया है इसने
हमने थोड़ा बनाया है
I think you can still be a
लेकिन बोलो
McKinsey
बोलो
partner.
बोलो
They will
हाँ
hire you. They will hire you. Because यही पार्टनर की तेरी जो नौबत है ना बढ़िया चार्ट बनाया है तू उसमें निटपिकिंग कर रहा है लेफ्ट टू राइट टू लेफ्ट यही पार्टनर का काम कर दिया ना तूने
wow
But sorry, is this credit card or is this EMI?
EMI
Correct.
I think combination
both.
Would be interesting to see how much is / pay later / pay in 3 because high value transactions तो generally लोग EMI पे काफी करने लगे
Even on low AOVs, yeah, we are seeing 2,000, 3,000 rupees also. There is good penetration of these pain parts. So, and especially I think with this credit on UPI rolling out, I think it should be very interesting tailwinds. We are going to see more credit-based consumption go up from here. And ये सब पे ना, I think what interestingly happens is that because of offers on Flipkart, let's say you get on a card, you start to use that card a lot more, right? So it's a little bit of a primary change of primary card. All banks want that their card should be primary card, right? Everyone has 3, 4, 5. So top of mind किस card का लगाएं? I think these events
That's a good point.
help in terms of changing the card to, it was a secondary card to primary card, moving more spends there. But overall, looks like यार savings rates are down, credit based consumption is going up. What happened in, मेरे को तो हर चीज पे लगता है, you look at it, I think India mimics more US than China. We don't have super apps working. We have so many brands working. I think we were contemplating on something else also. I'm not recalling.
People not spending much, people not saving as much over time, and then people spending on credit.
Yeah.
So we should be able to predict in 10 years, India's debt to GDP ratio will also become like US. It will go out of hand. लोन पे चल रही है, लोन पे
10
चल
years
रही
नहीं लगेंगे. No, sorry, even in the brand.com shopping experience, right? It has not worked in China. It has not worked in Indonesia. It has worked in US. It's happening in India.
यार बट इसमें ना थोड़ा सा तेरा मेरे को लगता है बायस है चिराग बिकॉज you see the absolute value. If you see, I think, let's say a VC or a PE who evaluates a lot of brands, I don't think there are any brands that are more than 20-25% D2C, which is the case would be in China also. US may
No.
there are D2C brands that are
I'll
D2C
tell you,
only.
I'll tell you fundamentally there is a difference. China has had these models of that they differentiate between a marketplace and a mall. Amazon is a marketplace, whereas Tmall is a mall. The difference is
Okay.
in a mall, you will have an Apple store which will sell Apple product directly. In a marketplace, an Apple product can be sold by any kind of seller. Right?
Correct.
It's a marketplace. तो चाइना में क्या है, चाइना में ब्रांडेड स्टोर है, सो देयर इज नो
Correct.
नीड फॉर अ ब्रांड डॉट कॉम कि आपको टीमॉल पे सारे ब्रांड्स मिलते हैं.
Correct.
तो वो स्ट्रक्चरल चेंज है, विच इज नॉट देयर इन यूएस, विच इज नॉट देयर इन इंडिया. इंडिया में कोई ऐसा मॉल वाला ऑनलाइन नहीं है. Right?
But
Paytm
US में
tried
change
it.
हो रहा है ना. If you look at Shein and Temu now becoming so big in the US or and TikTok shop, effectively brands have to now
ब्रांड नहीं
set
है
up
यार
shop.
वो तो ब्रांड नहीं है
समझ गया
यार.
तो बोला वो भी रीसेलर ही है टेक्निकली. Those shops
हाँ,
are, those stores are still resellers versus brand. And brand actually my view is 100 million or a 200 or even actually $1 billion business. AG1 I think is nearing that scale now, or a HIMS, which are brand.com D2C only and $1 billion in revenue and profitable. वो तो I don't know इंडिया में होगा कि नहीं. मेरा व्यू है I still don't see a lot of D2C only plays, but I think if you play this out 5-10 years वो होगा. Do I think this will happen in 10 years? Absolutely yes. I think that market depth is now coming and people are okay to spend on a high OV, high efficacy product, whether it's a skincare or a protein or whatever it is, where this could be possible. It's just that I think the retail is getting too strong. Like if you're not on Blinkit, the compounding loss may be so high that वो worry तो है कि you will lose market share. Because see, brands are by design ना, measured on market share. How market share? Now, if you're not on Blinkit, तो कोई और तुम्हारा मार्केट ले रहा है ना. तो वो एक डाइकोटोमी जो है ना यूएस में किसी को फर्क नहीं पड़ती. बिकॉज देयर लाइक यार अगर मैं $1 बिलियन हूँ तो आई डोंट केयर अबाउट मार्केट शेयर. $1 बिलियन 20% एबिटा हूँ भाई, मैं अपनी मार्केट हूँ, मतलब मेरे को नहीं तो मार्केट में घुसना करके. Whereas इंडिया में हर चीज में वो मेजरमेंट कम्स डाउन टू हाउ मच इज योर मार्केट शेयर. एंड इफ यू आर नॉट ऑन ई कॉम क्विक कॉम फाइटिंग फॉर मार्केट शेयर, देन यू गेट जज्ड. नहीं क्या शांतनु, लाइक ट्रिमर में लोग यही पूछेंगे ना तेरे को कि तेरा मार्केट शेयर क्या है, इज इट ग्रोइंग और नॉट. देन यू स्टार्ट
Correct,
सॉल्विंग फॉर इट,
absolutely.
व्हिच मींस यू स्टार्ट सॉल्विंग फॉर कि am I going on Blinkit, am I going on Amazon or not, which then
Absolutely.
by design takes you away from investing in your D2C. Like it's a where the incentives get aligned in my view.
They also, like, frankly, as a business, you have to be consumer first. I don't think brands can, like, I don't think I can change consumer behavior on the retail or where they're going to buy, where they're going to discover. That's going to be done by marketplaces. That's going to be done by
No, but
media.
take the US
So,
example. No, why in the US would you have so many businesses saying we don't want to sell on Amazon also, and they are profitably high growth good businesses? ऐसा क्यों है? There's so many businesses that are 100 million plus तो मतलब 100 बिजनेस होंगे प्रॉफिटेबल जो सिर्फ brand.com करते हैं और बढ़िया बिजनेस बेच भी देते हैं. लाइक आई थिंक मे बी दैट्स द न्यूआंस. मे बी दे डोंट गेट वेंचर लव, और यहाँ पे इंडिया में नॉन वेंचर बैक इतने बने भी नहीं है. लाइक वो टाइम लगेगा थोड़ा सा. एक्चुअली इट्स अ साइकिल राइट. यू नीड वेंचर डॉलर, देन यू नीड टू शो दीज नंबर्स, टू शो मार्केट शेयर एज प्रूफ पॉइंट की तुम्हारी कुछ राइट टू प्ले राइट टू विन है इस सेगमेंट में. आई मीन जस्ट थिंकिंग आउट अलाउड, in the US, I don't think like there is venture dollar available without that as a metric being measured, if I can put it that. People just look at LTV CAC और बैठ रहा है बहुत बढ़िया. Like if your
More
LTV
risk
CAC is
capital.
3x, हाँ, और वहाँ LTV बैठ
That's a
भी
good
जाता है.
question, actually. That's a good question. What prompts someone in a country like the United States to go on a website and buy versus buying on Amazon? Do they have a more high trust delivery system where it doesn't matter whether Amazon से आ रहा है या फिर brand से आ रहा
आ
है?
जाता
Because
है.
I think that's where, for example,
Yeah.
यार वो तो
we
इंडिया
lose
में भी
out.
आ जाता है यार, अभी रेवंत इंडिया में भी आ जाता है, जस्ट दैट
Yeah,
टाइम
yeah.
नहीं पता है.
Yeah.
आई थिंक अभी वो वाला खत्म हो गया कि वो आएगा नहीं आएगा.
Yeah, yeah.
ये आएगा नहीं कितना जल्दी आएगा. यहाँ पे फॉर एग्जांपल अर्बन इंडिया में Amazon सेम डे आने लग गया यार.
यूएस में उल्टा है. यूएस में यू हैव टू पे ऑन Amazon टू गेट इट लाइक क्विकर.
हाँ, तो maybe there is some infra advantage that leads to a behavior because, or is
Yeah,
there
this
just
is
such crazy?
mostly in India also ना शांतनु, this is mostly driven by इंस्टा डिस्कवरी, कि आप इंस्टा पे देखते हो और फिर वहां से वेबसाइट पे जाके ऑर्डर कर लेते
Correct.
हो, राइट? सो इट्स मोस्टली डिस्कवरी ड्रिवन रादर देन यू नो कि और कुछ रिकॉल विकॉल हो रहा है. लार्जली तेजी है, खींचो.
It
होल्ड
10x you.
10x यू.
कैसा है जूता?
पहनना अभी तो पहना नहीं है मैंने. कैनवस शू टाइप ही लग रहा है.
बट देख के कैसा है? बढ़िया है. तो कलर तो बढ़िया है.
Oh, cool. Laces are great. चलो मैं पहनता हूँ आज इसको. I put up a LinkedIn post around recruitment, okay? And
Okay.
usually we do that when we have 2-3 senior roles we want to hire for, or roles where we feel that the LinkedIn audience will see and apply. मैं कर देता हूँ. And generally there is like warm response कि हाँ आ जाते हैं like 50-60 applications. This time the number was in the 4 digits, number one. Number two, the kind of people who पहले मैं दीपक से ही बोलता था कि यार क्या लोगों ने अप्लाई किया. बॉम्बे शेविंग कंपनी का टैलेंट पूल सही है, ये है वो है. And like I give all credit to myself and the company, but then I realized while talking to a bunch of these candidates that in that 15-16 year work ex at that comp level, number of the talent that is looking for a role or looking for like unemployed right now is massive. तो एक जना मेरे को वही बोलता था कि मेरे पास at any given time till 3-4 years back मेरे पास at any given time 5 job offer हुआ करते थे. He has worked in the best companies in India from an FMCG standpoint, best. और अब बोलता है यार मेरे को 6-7 महीने से मिला ही नहीं है. मैं इधर कंसल्ट करूं उधर कंसल्ट करूं. लोगों को कंसल्टिंग से खुशी मिल जाती है, बट मोमेंट देयर इज अ फुल टाइम रोल. एंड स्मार्ट गाय, top tier school, 4-5 years senior to me, from a top
But
tier
what
IIM,
what do
etc.
you think is the problem? Why are people
I don't know.
shying away from hiring a 15-year experienced person?
I don't know whether people are shying away. I just don't think the number of jobs exist to absorb this kind
I think people are shying away. Like people used to say gray
Shying
hair
away
has
as in-
value.
हाँ.
People are going younger.
One is, I think, for sure, younger has more energy, but I think our world is also changing very fast, na? So
I don't think
let's
it's energy.
say
It used to be energy. I think now it's relevance. I mean, I don't think very few businesses are still AI first in India, but at least AI
यार
native भी
जनरली
बनना है ना
चेंज
अगर
तो
आपको.
बहुत, एआई तो छोड़ दे, मतलब आई एम सेइंग कि जनरली अडेप्टेबिलिटी टू चेंज.
Yeah, adaptability, agility is a like unlearning. See, okay, let me put this way. You essentially unlearn what you have learned and then relearn a new skill, which becomes harder as you age. That is my view as
Yeah.
to why 15 plus years experience. Like I see the same struggle, and I really love a lot of people, but I see unlearning as a key skill
यार
set.
रीस्टार्ट
that-
करना एंड देन रीस्टार्ट बोथ ऑन योर कॉम्प एंड रीलर्निंग इज अ डिफिकल्ट वन यार.
Yeah.
Actually, comp is
Especially
also okay.
at a
I'm
family.
okay. I'm okay if you are the right comp, that is your market comp, that's fine. I still think it's an intrinsic thing that people haven't learned because for too long people were taught कि ये सीखो, this is how supply chain works. ये सीखो, this is how finance works. ये सीखो, this is how marketing works, right? And the world is changing so fast that you need to be agile too. Now, what is the best way to do it? But वो कोई सिखा नहीं रहा है अभी. वो तुम्हें खुद सीखना है, करके सीखना है. Which is what today's young folks are anyway experiencing, right? They join startups, they खुद करके सीखते हैं. वहाँ दूसरा है कि
वो लोग भी बाय द वे इंटर्नशिप कर रहे हैं. आई एम सीइंग अ लॉट ऑफ पीपल नाउ डू 6 मंथ इंटर्नशिप. 5 इंटर्नशिप कर चुके हैं.
क्या बात कर रहे हैं?
हाँ, दिस इज लुक्स लाइक अ न्यू ट्रेंड कि हर 6 महीने में बोलता है नहीं अब यहाँ का तो हो गया, अभी कहीं और जाता. सोशल
Wow.
मीडिया हो गया, चलो अब मैं परफॉर्मेंस मार्केटिंग करता हूँ.
But
Health
how
and
do you get
wellness कर
any
लिया.
depth in social media or performance marketing in 6 months? You can't get depth.
ऐसे डिफरेंट सेक्टर, डिफरेंट मजा चल रहा है 6 मंथ.
Which is fine. At a
Internship.
young age, you should be able to, touch everything and get a feel for it. But let's get back to the 15-year thing, right? My view is it takes about 5 years broadly to get depth in any particular segment.
10,000 hours.
So let's take that, right? Now let's say that, and I don't think I think your theoretical education time is now shortened with AI, but the practical education of implementing it and seeing that will still be at least close to that. May not be as high that, maybe, but it still be 80% of that, right? Then you need to relearn because the technology changes. The like the SaaS tools available first for warehousing 5 years back or 10 years back, and now that they're available are very different. Right? You could technically upskill your thought on, let's say, warehousing as a thought process. Suddenly, by the time people were figuring out next day delivery to compete with Amazon, now you have to do 2 hour delivery. So every 2-3 years, the entire problem statement what ही change हो रहा है, तो how पे तो change होना पड़ेगा. So what that requires a beginner's mindset plus a unlearning thought process. Yeah, I will unlearn and I will relearn, which is maybe linked to the beginner's mindset, which is very hard to develop as an intrinsic skill set after 15 years of not having a beginner's mindset. Maybe, I don't know. That's what I think.
Possible.
Very, very possible.
And it's very painful. Like everyone says, yeah, beginner's mindset is a cool thing to have, but it's very painful to again go at the bottom and then restart. Go to the bottom, restart. It's super painful, and it gets more painful as you age, right? Once you have family, once you have different
You know what will happen
priorities.
is again this one individual told me कि यार अगर ये पता होता ना कि ऐसा जॉब मार्केट होता तो मैं छोड़ता ही नहीं नौकरी ये रिस्क लेने so I would not take this risk only. I would just kind of climb and get promotion every 3-4 years, stay in comfort zone. And the moment you start seeing a lot of such stories, I wonder whether risk appetite for people, especially in that, at that 30 to 33 year age group, where we see a lot of people taking the risk. कि थोड़ा बहुत financial comfort है, you can take that risk, become an entrepreneur. Like, boss, nahi chala to then job market also screwed, because by the time I come back to the job market, if I have to come back, I will probably be unhireable, or I would have lost the curve.
Actually, nahi hoga wo, because entrepreneurship is the best form of you exhibiting beginner's mindset or unlearning skills. So I would agree with you on people shifting jobs. कि नहीं यार, if I have to do more of the same, I would rather stick here. क्योंकि अगर कोई नया स्किल नहीं सीख रहा हूं तो मैं क्यों शिफ्ट कर रहा हूँ सिर्फ पैसों के लिए, which people may still do, but unless they are learning something new, they will become a liability at some point of time because the world changes too fast, right? But entrepreneurship by design asks you to exhibit beginner's mindset, which by design, even if you fail as an entrepreneur, at least you have showcased and you have learned, or you have exercised that muscle a little. You may have failed, but at least you exercise the muscle that usually not exhibiting in a job, right? Or at least in a
Have we
steady
seen?
job after 10-15 years of doing the same thing over and over again.
But that's the thing, if you like this seems theoretical for someone who's starting up. For someone who's starting up, they'll be like, people will value my entrepreneurship, but look at these 4 guys who took risks and are finding it hard to get a job. So should I take the plunge anyways? And I don't think we have enough examples of people who have made entrepreneurs, have failed at it, come back and built out stellar careers and reached senior positions. I don't know, other than VC, where of course the fit is a lot easier. But India, I struggle to think about entrepreneurs who come back and have actually built out great careers. I don't remember a single McKinsey partner or anyone in, let's say, any of the consumer giants
So
who
I think
CEO had at some.
your worldview therefore is a
Worldview.
little colored, right? वो जो McKinsey Unilever 15 साल के बाद जो होता है ना, I don't think they unlearn enough because वो इतने great institutions हैं, वो अपना process hammer कर देते हैं. So I see a lot of people who have spent 5-10 years at these great institutions try and apply the same learnings that they had in those institutions to when they're doing entrepreneurship, and that's not exhibiting beginner's mindset. Unlearning and saying कि यार Unilever जैसे चलता रहा मैं अपना दिमाग लगाऊंगा. Those examples at least I have. I see those people. We recruit enough ex-entrepreneurs, and this is what we look for. Yeah, ठीक है. Like it's actually the best experience in my view that if you have learned from a Unilever / McKinsey / Amazon, and you have exhibited beginner's mindset, you have unlearned that, and you have learned a new skill. Yes, you failed. I think that's like a beautiful, because you never know which skill you may require in a fast growth or like any one of us. वो adaptability जो है ना बहुत ही powerful है मेरे हिसाब से.
यार वो एक बार ही फेल होने के बाद हम्बलिंग भी रहता है ना, सो यू नो दैट यू ट्राइड, you were best, you tried, and then it didn't work out, and now you are restarting. So all of that, I think, then you start from ground zero. You are okay to leave all your fiefdom, all your knowledge, and restart again. कुछ भी काम दे दो, right? People will say कुछ भी काम दे दो, we'll start.
But that's a different set, Chirag. I also see enough people who, let's say, were earning great salaries, then they became entrepreneurs, and then the savings went to zero because you were 3 years without a decent compensation. There was a lot of opportunity loss. I also see those people who want to come back and say that, Acha, now my Unilever batchmate is getting this much, so this is the comp I want. that is going to be a humbling experience. क्योंकि वो नहीं होगा. Like startups can't afford. Then you need to go back to Unilever or the McKinseys, which also exists. No, I think you were only telling me that enough of these orgs are now welcoming alumni back, or at least they were till the AI wave came in.
That's why I don't like. I think that's changed over the last 3-4 years. I think a Unilever's ability to bring back or a McKinsey, bring back an entrepreneur who's taken at my time 2015 में छोड़ा 2018-19 में चला जाता. I think there would have been a place for me. Maybe not at 3-4 years in terms. I would have come back at the same level. Today, I am not sure.
But today
Even
तो
with
you're
my
advisor to
performance.
McKinsey, no? अब तो मतलब next level पहुंच गया तू.
No, but
Advice.
I was failed entrepreneur. I was talking about a situation where you're kind of in a where you want it. Even today, for example, today if I were to go back to McKinsey and say, boss, you hire me as a partner, it's very, very unlikely that will happen.
Yeah, but a cultural problem, है ना? Because they have a set culture. Every firm in its leadership likes to have, yeah, this is how we work. We don't want to disrupt that culture because एक मुफट बंदा है जो कल रोज LinkedIn पे पोस्ट लिखता है, उस पे 4 लोग को प्यार आता है, 4 लोग को हेट आता है, ये हमारे फर्म में नहीं चलेगा. तो that's a fair point, no?
And the broader point is not about Firaj. The broader point is about the job market itself. Whether they want or not, is there place for you?
But is that okay? Let me ask you a converse question. Have you seen like MBA placements where the best yardstick for how much how good the job market is, and Unilevers and the Amazons and the McKinseys were always like top IMs or whatever it is. They'll take 100 people every year or whatever, 50 people for a McKinsey or maybe 100 people for an Amazon and a Unilever. Has that number come down drastically in the last 2-3 years? Would you know that? That would be a better sign. If the job market is, because that's where the real pinch is. Because senior level pe I understand, they'll be like, boss, we don't want to have a bloated leadership. We want to have a whatever tree structure, right? Key leadership is narrow, and then we are always bringing in young people and we will groom them. That's always been these institutions. In fact, I am asking my leadership saying, why would we not start doing that now? Like groom people from within. So we have a fellowship, we have a Maverick program, like programs banao, and train and invest in people, because there is a Mosaic way of working, right? In the end, every company wants to have its own unique culture, and even if you hire laterally, you have to give that person time to get acclimatized to that culture, and only then they will actually learn to succeed in that culture, because there is a slight nuance in every org, right? And every org starts shaping its culture over time. It's, I think, far easier to get younger people in, which is what at least I've seen how institutions get built over time. Like they are always like, yeah, let's teach our way, versus expecting senior people to come in and start being very effective immediately, because there is a cultural nuance to how every org works. Maybe that's the missing link. Maybe inadvertently we are trying that. You should go and look at your recruitment, Shantanu, but I'm sure in the last 2 years you will see you have a much bigger pool of people joining in as freshers / less than 2 years experience, and over 2 years 20% only stay. Other people may, let's say, move on, but that 20% then becomes a sticky manager cadre, and then 10% becomes a leadership cadre over 5 years. And I think that's the cycle all institutions end up with, in my opinion, because cultural nuance or the way this org works is always easier to train bottom up. At least मुझे ये लगता है.
That's very much the McKinsey or the PNG model that you prefer.
So we look, how did you create a 100-year institution? I mean, you should learn from that, right? But no, I don't think there's rocket science in. I'm not saying we'll set up the same processes, but conceptually should work, right? You will have your own programs and own nuances to that program. But you need to have some institutional programs, institutional, what do I call it? Vocabulary, right? There's a management trainee in Citibank or a Unilever, right? Which batch management trainee are you? That's the vocabulary that operates, right? So I think those things should happen. Now, whether you call it a management trainee or what we call a fellowship and stuff like that may change. And what is entailed in that is, again, could be changed and could morph to how your organization works. But I think I don't think rewards and recognition and learning and development by design as a principle will change. Let's take the corollary. The corollary is also, I don't know if you guys see this, but every time I sit down with a 26-year-old who will show me a cool new feature of AI, मतलब मेरे को तो बहुत मजा आता है यार, ये तो खुद से सीख ही नहीं पाता मैं. कितना मैं ट्विटर और यूट्यूब देख लूंगा यार. मैं यार ये तो बहुत सही तरीका है करके, चलो ये कर लेते हैं. Like innately, it's so much. At least I get energy when I see someone figure out a better way to do things. Like some of my team members are now using the non-US LLM models. एंड आई एम लाइक ये क्यों कर रहे हो? दे लाइक हमने रिसर्च किया और इससे हमें बेटर इनपुट आउटपुट आ रहा है। बहुत बढ़िया यार, तो पता ही था मेरे को ये एग्जिस्ट भी करता है करके। बिकॉज व्हाट कम्स अप इन न्यूज इज ओनली द टॉप 5 यूएस कंपनीज, राइट? बट somebody has done the effort of figuring out कि नहीं यार ये ओपन सोर्स मॉडल है which works better for us for this use case। बहुत बढ़िया। Now of course I am not like I have to go deep on that, but at least the serendipity of learning also happens when you're around people who are thinking all the time of just learning. And that young crowd, not sub 30, constantly is in that, I don't know whether it's FOMO or interest, but they're always looking to learn faster and learn more.
और जैसे I was speaking to your Shantanu, your HR is Archana, ना?
Yeah.
She was telling me कि शांतनु को कभी ढूंढना हो तो figure out like there are bunch of 20-year-old sitting, वो शांतनु में ही मिलेगा।
Content
he
बना रहा
might
है
not
उसको।
realize, हाँ, उनको से सीखा है content, उसको पता है Gen Z क्या सोच रहा है, कैसे क्या बोलना है। उल्टा भी हो सकता है कि शांतनु के पास ही 20 साल वाले आए थे, यार आप बताओ कंटेंट कैसे बनाना है। One guy who's non Gen Z has figured out content.
आज एसडी का ब्रांड पर्सनालिटी डायसेक्ट हो रहा था यार, वीडियो भेजा मेरे को किसी ने, बाप रे बाप।
Are there two SDs? One inside VSC and one outside VSC?
Yeah. I would agree.
Two SDs in the sense one.
So what's SD1? What's SD2?
One is inside office, two is outside office.
एक साइड बोल रहा है कि शांतनु इज द ब्रांड, शांतनु इज जो लिंक्डइन में लिखता है इट्स अ आउटलॉ ब्रांड बिकॉज़ एवरीवनस अब्यूजिंग हिम ऑन
वो
लिंक्डइन।
12 आर्केटाइप्स उसमें डाल दिया, हीरो।
तो लाइक एसडी के साथ जब ऑफिस में बात करते हैं तो बिल्कुल ऐसा इट्स अ वेरी बिलोंगिंग एंड लवर टाइप आर्केटाइप है। तो फिर उसमें से ये निकला कि SD is two people.
Split
SD on
personality.
LinkedIn and social media and SD in real life are two different people.
एक मिनट, which is the SD coming first of all on barbershop, which is the SD coming on asymmetric, and which is the SD on the Marathi reels of official? वो तो तीन और पर्सनालिटी है फिर।
I think उन्होंने SD on LinkedIn and SD in office, ये दोनों आर्केटाइप, अभी there are 5-6 parts of my life which they have not covered. तो LinkedIn
बोलो काम करो यार, ऐसे आधा अधूरा काम करके आए हो। 12 आर्केटाइप है, 12 की 12 अवतार, मतलब वो 10 अवतार है ना, वैसे तुम।
एक तो मेरा खुद का था ना कि वो बोर्ड रूम का वीडियो था, उसमें लोग पोहे खा रहे हैं और मैंने बोर्ड रूम में खाना अलाउ नहीं किया। मैंने बोला एक तो पोहे निकालो। But on a more serious note, I think the younger folks, I also think critical thinking skills, na, especially in a brand context of young people, is way ahead just by pure instinct, yaar.
Say
Way
more.
ahead.
Like explain थोड़ा सा।
यार, for example, अगर उनको कोई, let's say we are briefing out a product, ठीक है, briefing out a product, and we want to talk about कि इसमें let's say fragrance brief out कर रहे हैं, उसमें कौन सा note होना चाहिए और कैसे। A 22-year-old's ability to combine his or her life experiences, friends, consumer understanding with that product brief versus my ability to do that is far higher because they're just so into consuming this kind of product or talking to their friends about this kind of stuff. Their instinct is a lot sharper. A 40-year-old like me is unlikely to talk to their friends about so many things. So their instinct is a lot lower. So their ability to be creative, now whether it goes into a product briefing like this, or whether it's a campaign, whether it's just brand marketing, whether it's the ability to design a website page, everything just becomes a lot sharper in our kind of world. RB, there's more for maybe you and me and lesser for CT.
But this is more exposure, na? The generation itself is getting exposed to so many brands.
It's not just exposure, CT. It's also just like sharpening of instinct through conversations, constant conversation and involvement. उनको exactly पता होता है कि उनको क्या experience चाहिए, उनको क्या पसंद है,
do you worry
चार
on
दोस्तों को
this?
क्या पसंद है?
Do you worry a little on this, on the lack of depth of experiences versus the breadth of experience? What you're talking about is they have created a lot more breadth in the kind of experiences that they've had over, let's say, the last month, last quarter, last year, compared to, let's say, an older person, let's say 40 plus year old. But do you worry about the fact that there is lack of depth in some of those experiences? So the nuances and the insights may actually not be correct because you have not gone deep enough. आपने कभी ये सोचा है? It could be that it's come up to the right answer and you feel, aha, ये सही लग रहा है करके. But I sometimes worry about false positives in this case because you jump to the conclusion quickly because you've had some of the experiences, but you've not gone deep enough to think of the second order effects and get the actual insight right.
Well, for example, someone asked me this question very eye-opening. He said, what are your 5 best friends? What kind of fragrance do they use? I had no clue, dude. And then it went a little deeper. What is their favorite food? Again, I had no clue. I would know like maybe what's their favorite drink and so on. But it's very, like my ability to understand consumption through social conversation is just very poor because possibly the breadth of experience, like you said, is a lot lower. Now, how they use that breadth as a early structural advantage to now start going deep in their chosen pursuit of profession, like if they're a brand marketer or if they're a salesperson or whatever, that I think will depend upon intent and competence. But the starting point is very different.
Yeah, I agree with you that the first 3 to 5 years for a 21-year-old undergrad is immensely now more broad and very high number of experiences, even like Chirag spoke about the 6-month internship. But at some point of time, you have to go deep and really get the right nuance and right understanding in those experiences. Otherwise, it's too shallow and it's not useful after a while. Like मुझे थोड़ा सा लग रहा है कि हम ज़्यादा deep चले जाते थे because there was no distraction. Maybe there's a slight overcorrection, and the best people are navigating this in a smart way. कि यार अच्छा, if I'm going to get social media right, I'm going to spend 3 to 4 years getting every nuance of social media right and getting through 2 cycles of algo changes, right? कि अच्छा क्योंकि 3 साल में तो meta algo, insta algo 2 बार change हो जाएगा. So what would work before may not work now. So that seeing those cycles also is important while you are operating deep. It's like तुम you're laying a road, बीच में हाथी आ रहा है जंगल के बीच में, चलो ये कैसे सॉल्व करें. Then road लेकर और फिर शेर आ गया, तो solve is not the same. एक में शायद तुम रुक जाओगे, हाथी पास में, दूसरे में तुम भाग जाओगे, तुम रुक जाओ मतलब भाई पहले ये सॉल्व करो. Maybe bad analogies, but I think you get the point, right? कि you have to construct the road long enough to see every kind of problem that comes to really develop that deep muscle that what is social media, how to run social media effectively. I have done every kind of challenge, so now I know how very well. Like तुम नया चैलेंज भेजो, मेरा ब्रेन फिगर आउट कर लेगा सॉल्व कैसे करना है. वो डेप्थ ऑफ हाउ जो है ना, वो मेरे को थोड़ी मिसिंग लगती है, बिकॉज़ पीपल हैव सीन वन
टाइम लगता है यार.
But that's what I'm saying. You need time on one problem statement and to go deep enough and see multiple situations. So I'll tell you the simplest one, right? After the 2021 bull cycle, we saw 23-24 bear cycle in the startup ecosystem and funding. And that was an interesting question. One of the board members asked me, Yaar, why did you not overspend in 2021? I said, sir, because I passed out in 2009. That was my first recession. I have seen the 14-15 bull cycle. And this was hindsight. I didn't know then. And I kept thinking, why did I not go aggressive? Because I had seen 3 cycles. I knew कि यार ये फटेगा करके, और जब फटेगा तो गंदा फटेगा. So you should be a little pragmatic on, yes, you should get aggressive, but how aggressive is the pragmatism once you've fallen twice and you've seen 2 or 3 cycles? And that is where is a substitute for the wisdom and gray hair that people talk about. I think it's a substitution for the fact that have you gone deep enough and seen 3 different cycles in the same problem to then have a more nuanced view as to how will this flip the next time it happens.
Yeah, agree. I also
By the
feel
way,
like,
sorry, I have a question. You are not 40 or 38, and like we should put our plug. Congratulations to Ankush, our friend, co-founder and CEO at Rebel Foods, who's been nominated. I think one of the 40 people who won ET 40 under 40 this year. So when are you coming, Shantanu, on that? You're 38. How come you have not got ET 40 under 40?
I don't know, yaar. I don't know. मैं पूछता हूँ जरा ET. Is it still run by Spencer Stewart?
Yeah, Mr. Rohit Kale used to run it before. So I'm surprised that तू बोलते है दोस्त है तेरा, ये तो क्या कैसा दोस्ती है यार?
शायद इसकी वजह से नहीं हो रहा है कि वो बोल रहा होगा दोस्त है, कॉन्फ्लिक्ट आ जाएगा तो छोड़ ही देते हैं इसको. इसको वैसे भी बहुत ज्यादा PR मिलता रहता है. We derive no joy by putting him on the 40 under 40 list.
No, but seriously, yaar, next year you should. I think there's a nomination process and then there is a proper voting and all. But somebody has to nominate you. Let me figure out. मेरे को बता दे यार, मैं nominate कर देता हूँ तेरे को. I have at least some standing, hopefully, in the industry that they'll take my nomination of you seriously.
मैं वही सोच रहा हूँ कि उसमें रोहित काले को बोलता हूँ कि यार आप अवार्ड तो नहीं दे रहे, लेकिन जूरी में डाल दो फिर मेरे को. Let me select the 40.
The jury cannot be younger than 40. I'm sorry. First you have to win the award, then you can become part of jury. No, but you should, yaar. You should seriously.
आपको मिला है क्या अभी? आपको सीटी आपको?
I'm 42 now.
I'm तो नहीं, but when you were under 40.
We didn't achieve much when before we were 40.
मैं तो 40 जब उससे पहले तो ET होता अवार्ड ही नहीं होता था.
सीटी से बात करें 60 साल के हो गए.
अरे वो पेज पे तो अभी मिल सकता है मुझे.
I can't even get it on homepage. Even my homepage is beyond 40, unfortunately. So unless I can reverse the age over the next 3-4 months and then like चलो देखो मेरा homepage ले लो.
But to your point, RB, I think the youth or younger folks may also be depending on AI for depth a lot. They will use real life and real experiences for breadth and actually depend on AI for going deep. For example, I'll give an example. Yesterday, Shruti was talking to Yash, okay? And Yash teaches stat at MIT. So if you were to think about stats as a subject, he probably is top 0.01% of people who understand statistics very well. तो she was like, यार hematology में यार ये blood samples के 50 रिजल्ट है, इस पे कुछ clinical variance का कुछ हमको stat चलाना है, इस पे कुछ so he's asking what tool are you using? Usually Excel में मैं डेटा ले लेती हूँ, फिर उसके बाद I don't know what to do with it. And I have not taken math in 11th 12th, तो मेरे लिए तो बहुत ही out of bounds है. तो उसने बोला भेजना मेरे को, I will have a look. And then I asked him कि what are you going to do with it? He's like, I'll just ask ChatGPT to write a code. And we'll figure out what are some of the 4 or 5 things that are coming out of it. I won't write the code because I don't understand it, but frankly, this is not a stat paper, this is a biostat paper. So biostats and the biology is more important than statistics. It should not be very difficult. So what I noticed in that is that he's not depending on ChatGPT to become like the hematology or bio expert. He already knows the right things to prompt. And that might be the way a lot of younger people will operate, which is they will know certain things through breadth, and their spread will be high. So their ability to prompt, their ability to ask questions will be high, and they'll actually be able to get AI to do a lot of the expertise-driven stuff, which might be amazing buttresses for knowledge in general.
But एक
Very
बात बता,
difficult to think about.
यार but ability to judge जो है ना वो होना चाहिए विदय. Yash has it, but let's say if I don't know any statistics and I start doing, मेरे को तो पहला आंसर ही ठीक लगेगा.
that
वो
is
बार
true.
बहुत हाई होता है.
हाँ, so
तो उसके लिए एक्सपोजर चाहिए. What he's saying ना कि you need to have different kind of exposures to at least assess that this is right, directionally right or not.
Yeah.
यार जजमेंट बेसिकली व्हाट इज सेइंग इज जजमेंट सिखा नहीं सकते हो तुम. जजमेंट तुमको अलग
Yeah.
एक्सपोजर से ही आता है. अलग प्रॉब्लम्स, सेम फंक्शन स्लैश प्रॉब्लम स्टेटमेंट वेक्टर पे आपको अलग अलग जब प्रॉब्लम्स आते हैं तब आपका जजमेंट बेटर होता है. एंड व्हेन यू सी दोस एंड यू मे फेल एट सम ऑफ दोस, but ultimately you need to know how did people succeed. And I'll tell you one problem at least I see of AI is going back to Chirag's point. उसके हिसाब से तो तुम कभी गलत ही नहीं हो. Anything you ask, great job. You are very close. तुम बढ़िया हो. अरे भाई मतलब I don't think people learned because they kept hearing कि हम बढ़िया हैं करके. लेकिन आज तक तो मेरे को कभी नहीं बोला इसने कि भाई तू गधा है, तू बहुत ही गलत सोच रहा है. वो इतना प्यार से समझाता है. And I don't know why they've designed it that way. Of course, it's for engagement. By the way, I don't know if you guys have thought about this. GPT, which is like the epitome of what everyone uses, substitutes that for AI, right? The companion that everyone uses. By design is competing with the TikTok and the Instagram for user attention. It is supposed to hook you and make you feel better. It's a trap if you think about it. And
Correct.
everybody is like IG में scroll करते तुम trap में होगे कि पहले आधा घंटा, 1 घंटा, 2 घंटा spend कर रहे हो. Same thing will happen with GPT. It is designed to keep you addicted to it. So its core job is not to give you the answers, by the way. If people are assuming that GPT को मैं $20 दे रहा हूँ क्योंकि मेरे को आंसर दे रहा है, नहीं, वो तेरे को उसी पे लूप में रखने वाला है. यस, थोड़ा आंसर देगा और पूरा आंसर कभी नहीं देगा वो. और इट्स द प्रोडक्ट मैनेजर देयर का OKR है कि भाई इसको और यूजेज करवाओ, ये $20 को $200 खर्चवाओ.
Correct.
So you have to look at the incentive alignment there. The incentive is not aligned to give you the answer. It's designed to keep you. Of course, it cannot give you a random answer that you will get pissed off and go away. But there is a nuance of keeping you engaged and happy versus actually
Yeah.
telling you the problem. So a lot of times you may not like the answer I give
That's a
you,
good
Shantanu,
point.
but I will give you the answer irrespective. I don't care if you don't like me.
Yeah.
You need to hear the truth if you want to learn something. Like feedback by design hurts,
Yeah.
but it's supposed to help you. That is, वो कहाँ है? ये में कोई feedback नहीं है which is going to hurt you. आज तक तो किसी को hurt नहीं किया उसने.
That's why it's good therapy, na? Why do you think
So-
there's comfort there?
So I'm contesting that you can go deep with AI. I don't think you can go deep with AI.
No. No, I think it will come down to pushing.
Why can't you go वैसे deep with AI?
It will come down to your self-awareness
Correct.
and very
So,
high
Your
judgment.
curiosity in terms of, let's say, figuring out, going down on that rabbit hole.
Yeah.
It serves a very good
And it's
purpose.
incentivized,
Yeah.
na? It's
You'll need-
incentivized na, to do that.
You need very high self-awareness to know that यार ये आंसर अभी भी सही नहीं है, मुझे और डीप जाना है.
Exactly.
मुझे और वो वाला जब बहुत कम लोगों के पास होता है.
वो और वो
My-
टफ भी होता जा रहा है यार, because it
हाँ.
writes such good English
Correct.
that you will say यार ये तो सही लग रहा है.
Correct.
यार बिटकॉइन क्रैश में बताओ यार क्या हो रहा है. I hear people have started taking their own lives, etc. कुछ हो रहा है क्या इतना crazy?
Really? What is that indicating? Why is gold, silver, all of these are like
Basically flight to safety. People, dollar reserve, my read is dollar reserve is not comfortable. The people expect some debt What is the right word? Servicing
My
of debt
sense
is
is
becoming hard.
US में ना जैसे इंडिया में क्या होता है, you would see RBI would govern or would control most things, right? From
Yeah.
control of supply to interest rates, and interest rates will also flow down from banks to NBFCs very, very smoothly. In US now, it's very, very market driven. My sense is what is happening is Fed is saying that interest rates are lower, inflation is coming down. Market is not believing that.
Hmm.
Market is saying that it looks like we are going to have a hard landing. It's sticky inflation. This is not going to work, and hence it continues to have that inflationary fight and this rise of the gold and silver.
चलो guys, see you. I have a
Okay.
bunch of calls जो आने
तो
लगे
तेरा
हैं.
कार्ड
Bye
देकर आता
RB.
हूँ मैं.
हाँ, मैं
Bye
भी.
City.